Hey, what's up, guys? It's Richie from Boston, and you're looking at the National High Resolution Reflectivity Composite Loop, or you're looking at NexRad radars. You know, these happy little things that you see all over the place in the most unusual spots. And these are for the weatherman to better predict the weather for Americans because they care about you. But the problem with that is, if that's true, then apparently they're only trying to predict the weather on this side of the United States of America. And while I was at Mike Decker's house, this entire area was completely clear, except it was all green storms. All storms, and Texas was pumping this out. So what that does is it steers the weather. If they don't want rain down here, they pump these bad boys out. Or if they do want rain, they use it and they pump it. They pump or make weather with nanotechnology like they're doing right now at my house. Do you see what I'm saying? And I was at Mike's house and he watches this thing religiously, and I'm watching Texas. Just Texas is lighting up, and then up here is lighting up, and it's forcing the storms to move right through here. And I kept saying, Mike, I bet you they're doing that to cause a drought and force the weather elsewhere, and then they can call it, what else? Climate change. Well, here's a funny thing. When I was talking to Mike about that, I was completely unaware that places like the Bonneville Salt Flats were totally flooded. Bonneville Salt Flats are in northern Utah next to the Nevada border, and I was just there. Sadly, it's 9:30 at night, and I can't find the footage because I have so much footage, it's ridiculous. But I went there because I always go there. It's got a great dark sky at night, and I wanted to do a land speed record in my truck. You know, just for fun. Totally flooded. Like this. Unbelievable. But that's not the only place that shouldn't ever be flooded. This is a salt flat. It's never flooded. It's been flooded and shut down for a month. But how about this? The Bonneville Salt Flats, like I already showed you, utterly and completely flooded. Here you go. I finally found the footage, and it's rebuffering because why wouldn't it be? And then Death Valley got a year's worth of rain in a couple of hours. It's Death Valley, totally flooded. And then, to put the icing on the cake, Moab, Utah. Moab, Utah. I was there like days later and saw the sand all over the roads. They're blaming all this on climate change, and yet they're calling this a 100-year storm because it happened 100 years ago. So then how the F is it climate change? They're diverting the weather from the places where crops and farmers need the water out into the desert where all it does is wreak havoc. Does that sound familiar? Does that sound like something Mike Decker and I told you a long time ago? When this entire pandemic started. And for those that are upset, Richie, you're saying I told you so. Well, guess what? I live in what they call the conspiracy world. So when it comes to pass, I like to remind people so they understand that they're not wasting their time on conspiracy infotainment. This shit is real and it's happening. They're diverting the water or they're sending the water where they want it using this technology. Because otherwise, what are they doing? No, they're just keeping track of the weather on half of the country with the Doppler radars. No, these are all mini HARPs, which is why they shut HARP down. Or so they say, who knows? But at the beginning of the pandemic, Mike Decker and I told you were going to see them using the weather against everybody. We were going to see weather like we never saw before. We were going to see technology like we never saw before. And this is exactly what they're doing. And speaking of that, Carol from Never Lose Truth YouTube channel, Kafka Winston World, I'll leave links below. She's been on YouTube longer than I have, and she's been relegated to a channel that's only got about 4,000 subscribers. I'm going to leave a link for her channel, but I'll give you a little hint. And no offense, Carol, if you happen to see this, but when I listen to Carol's YouTube videos, I put the speed, the playback speed right here, on 1.5. It doesn't affect anything she's saying. It just makes her really long videos listenable. I don't have 40 minutes to sit around and listen to a video. Do you see what I mean? It doesn't affect, Carol talks the way she does, and I just speed it up. But Carol found an absolute treasure trove of absolute proof of everything we've ever told you about this nanotechnology. Now they're using the word. We're not just spraying the sky with silver iodine, we're spraying nanoparticulates up there. All over the place. You see what I mean? All over the place. And nanotechnology is what makes these things light up, and then all of a sudden, green stuff just pops up in the sky and starts heading wherever they want to do the most damage. If you recall at the beginning of the pandemic, I told you that they were going to use, if you get nor'easters, you're going to have 100-year nor'easters. If you get hurricanes, you're going to have 100-year hurricanes. If you get droughts, you're going to have droughts like Dust Bowl days. They're doing this to destroy the crops and everything else, and then push their massive fugazi climate change story. Let me explain something to you. I have a thing going that most people don't. I'm over 50 and I lived my entire life on the Atlantic Ocean. According to them, the oceans are rising at an exponential rate, and pretty soon they won't be in New York, they won't be in Boston, they won't be in New Orleans, they won't be in Florida. Well, I'll tell you what. The ocean hasn't risen one iota. I live directly across the street from it. And there's a restaurant directly across the street from my house. And if there was any ocean rising, his restaurant would be gone. And yet it's still sitting in the same exact place as when I worked there when I was 12 years old. Also, if you remember, I did a video a couple of years ago where I had a guy whose job was, and his father before him's job was, measuring the height of the ocean in Australia. Between himself and his father, they had 100 years. And you know what it turned out? It turned out the ocean was about a meter lower than it was when his father first started recording 100 years ago. I can't find it, but if somebody can, send it to me. rjcjr10@yahoo.com. Or don't. One of the two. But this makes a whole lot of sense, because when I was sitting in Mike's house, I had no idea about Moab. Actually, it didn't happen yet. Death Valley didn't happen yet. And Bonneville Salt Flats. If I had known it was flooded, I wouldn't have went there. All three of those places are right here and here. And they're famous for, well, one's a salt flat. It's so dry that it's a complete salt bed as far as the eye can see for as long as the eye can see. Well, actually, here, let me show you. I made this video, but I got to tell you, I love it. I thought the editing and the music and everything else was amazing. This is the Bonneville Salt Flats. This is the footage I took. Complete and utter water. Now, if I had known it was flooded, I don't think I would have went there. But, I mean, this is unbelievable, unprecedented, unseen before. And then you couple this with Moab, which 100-year storm. It's a little faux pas that they do. They tell you it's climate change and it's never happened. It's because of people, and cows are farting and people aren't eating enough bugs, etc. It's amazing. And I met somebody today who's a pretty squared away person. He's fairly awake, and he literally sort of defended the fact that they want people to eat crickets. So the mainstream people that still believe in Russia, the United States, and all that other stuff, politics, think that, it's a sustainable thing, eating crickets. So it's already ingrained in these people. They will accept it. You see what I'm saying? And the fact that the Bonneville Salt Flats is as large as it is and as flat as it is for as many miles as it is doesn't seem to phase people. They don't realize that it's totally, utterly, completely, and unnaturally flat. But on that one, I'll digress. At any rate, these people are pushing this and they're not going to stop. And this is the proof right here. I'll leave links to this if you're interested in this, but you should be, because this is HAARP technology on a county by county, state by state level. These things are no joke whatsoever at all. And who even knows what kind of frequencies they're pumping out? But you know what? It's neither here nor there. But I'll tell you what, if you want to hear about this stuff and the nanotechnology ad nauseum, listen to Carol. Never Lose Truth 1 right here. 3,000 subscribers. That's sad. She's been around longer than I have. But she's also run her mouth as much as I have about the same things. And they don't like that, and they will take you down. At any rate. Oh, real quick. Do it before you can't. Even if you don't need the emergency food, get the water filter. And I'll leave links below on how you can completely use the filters in the water filter forever, unless you smash them and break them on the ground by accident. I was a plumber for a long, long time. I know how water filters work, and I know how to get around it. And it's pretty easy. And I'm going to remind you again, it's September 5th already. Get your money out of your 401k or your IRAs and turn it into silver and or gold. September is their month. They love doing this, okay? I do this because I love you guys. Most of you. As much as I know how. But if I met you in real life, I'd give you my gold and silver, and I'm running out. So there's that. And one other thing, real quick. It got dark at 8 o'clock. In the summertime, in the wintertime, when the days get longer, they increase, or they always did since I was a child, by a minute a day. And on the other end of that spectrum, in the summertime, when it gets darker, it decreases by a minute a day. Well, the other day it got dark at 8:30, and now it's getting dark at 5 minutes of 8. And now magically I discover that this is a thing. Why is the length of Earth's days has been mysteriously increasing? Well, that's not accurate, but the fact that they're even talking about messing with how long the days are or aren't has always made me wonder, ever since I made the video showing the patents that go back to the 60s on them making an artificial sun. And then magically in our lifetimes, the sun going from yellow to white and being very, very close, where you can literally measure its temperature with a laser temperature pointer. Yeah. If CERN messed with the sun, then where is it? And if they do mess with the sun, they can mess with the time. If they can mess with the time, they can mess with the days, the weeks, the months, and the years. That would be one hell of a weapon, and I believe they're using it. At any rate, links to absolutely everything you ever wanted to know will be below. Richie from Boston. It's late, and I'm out.